What?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. We'll highlight all that. Don't you worry.
Just
But of
saying,
course,
you gotta remind people.
Subscribe right now.
Subscribe.
subscribe. Of course.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into Get in the Hole. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy, Ethan Hogan joining you. Another top-tier week in the golf world following the Genesis Invitational, and welcome in to the show streaming live from the underground on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're bringing you all of the news, betting tips, and analysis from across the golf landscape. We have news across LIV Golf this week, the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, and a story that may very well be completely fake because I got it all from Wikipedia, but might be the craziest story in golf I've ever heard, literally ever. Before we get into all of the news of the week, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at 47 Brand. The Philadelphia Eagles, your Super Bowl champions, of course, only a week off of winning the title. Valentine's Day, the big parade came through Broad Street, and man, was it an absolute party. And of course, if you haven't gotten on the grind yet to find yourself with some awesome 47 brand apparel celebrating the Eagles Super Bowl, don't you worry. You still have plenty of time to go and get it. Go on 47 brand and join in on the party limited edition, the championship headwear, as well as a variety of Eagles branded apparel, including their Stony Clover Lane 47 Super Bowl 59 capsule collection, currently on sale, will be running out soon while supplies last. Use our code, our link code in the description for shop everything related to the big game, the championship, and get free shipping on all orders with our partner at 47 Brand. Again, free shipping on all orders when you use our link in our description, and get ready to celebrate every week. We're only about 60 weeks, not even 60 weeks, until possibly another Eagles Super Bowl, or hopefully maybe the Giants. Probably not, but we're hoping for the absolute best. At the very least, we aren't the New York Jets, and Aaron Rodgers is probably going to retire. But
Steve, your organization's in worse shape than ours.
I hate to admit that.
It's like you can't just like.
They're both in absolute disarray.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
The Jets actually have a good roster. We just don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, but you have awful management, and it's just all gonna just not work out as it never has, like in the past 20 years.
Yeah, like at the end, look, the three of us fall into a very unique situation because it's the first time in a long time where all at once
Where the Jets have been like the best so far.
Yeah, exactly. But like also the Patriots have somewhat of a bright future. They have a solid quarterback. But like, what did they hire Vrabel?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see what Vrabel does. Maybe something good. The Giants, they're not a quarterback away, but if they can figure out,
They're not a quarterback away.
The rumors that have been swirling about Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp joining the Giants for a
the Pats
trade, they're already eons ahead from where I would have thought they'd be if they had Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders or Jackson Dart. The Jets, the coaching and the front office is so dysfunctional. I can never trust
the coaching in the front office right now. It's literally the owner that's the problem.
Yeah.
And the owner's never going to leave.
The scouts are good.
They should force him to sell the team.
They should. Woody sucks. Like, or at the very least, just get more hands off. Like, owners should not meddle as heavily as he does in this team.
Nah, I respect it. If I had the money and I like owned a team, I would be hands on. Like, I spent all that money. It's my team. I want to like tell me you wouldn't want to like have full control over a team. That'd be so much fun.
I don't know, man. Look, I watched the Knicks and the Rangers, and I see James Dolan not give a shit about the Rangers, and they've always been way better than the Knicks. But he's meddles in the Knicks, and they've sucked for the longest time. Only until now have they actually gotten good because he's taken a more hands-off approach. That's my only thing. But we could talk more about that for a different day. But thankfully,
I mean, I didn't even get to say anything. So I mean, what difference?
I just don't want to sit here and go on for 10 minutes talking about our football franchises because they're all.
I thought you didn't like the.
Here's the thing. I mean, the New York Giants are just a snooze fest organization. Okay, the Patriots were held up by one player for 20-something years. I mean, that's really what it was. Belichick was good, but he had a losing record before New England and then after Brady left. So
he's still one of the best defensive minds ever.
Yeah, like that team's that those. There's no denying those past teams were also amazing.
He was the head
Even
coach
beyond
of the
Brady.
Browns. I mean, the Browns are historically bad. No one could fix
The
the Browns.
latter one's not so much, but
Steve's like freezing on me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, he's frozen. Oh, jeez.
Oh, Steve's
my
gone.
internet's been is absolute dookie right now, so don't mind me.
Okay.
Oh, you're back.
He's back. Yeah, Steve, I hate to break it to you, but I mean, what are
I'm
you
not
gonna
on. I'm alive.
No, you're not.
No. It's gonna be one of those nights. You gotta be kidding me. I'm so tired.
For having weather.
That
It might be one of those nights.
Okay. All right, let's just get the show on the road.
Yeah, and I have no fucking service right now for some reason. Can you guys hear me? Are we good now?
yeah.
Yes.
Are we good now? Please say yes.
Yes.
God, the wind here is absolutely insane. All right, great, perfect. All right, let's get the show on the road. So, first topic of the day. I was reading on Twitter on my ride home this afternoon. Turns out there have been some, not necessarily leaked, but reported by Golf Week, financial reports back from 2023 from the PIF and LIV Golf, and it revealed that there is, by the end of 2025, LIV Golf will have received a total of $5 billion of investment from the PIF. Additionally to this, and this is where the question comes into play, the LIV Tour just confirmed a partnership with South Australia, their PGA their golf association, to host an event in the Adelaide area every year until 2031. So that gives me two indications. One, LIV Golf isn't really going to go anywhere, even if there is, or eventually will be, a reunification of golf. But also, the PIF now, with jumping into Fox, hoping to get more profitable, are hoping to finally take their $5 billion and try and get some sort of a return on it. Then I'll open the floor to you here. What signifies more of an interest in the future of LIV Golf, the partnership or the money that is now revealed to have been being traced into the LIV League?
Well, it's really the partnership, because that's the most encouraging part. Okay. And so when you have a deal, it's 2025 right now, that deal lasts now 6 more years. Okay. So when you look at it from that perspective, that just proves that LIV is here to stay. And that is the overall goal. You said it very well last week. Spotify didn't become profitable until this past year. Okay. And so it's very, very difficult when you have a large business, or when you're trying to run a large business, to be profitable immediately. It's almost impossible. I think everyone here understands that. And so when you've invested the amount of capital that the PIF has invested into LIV, that in of itself, there's going to be a huge loss initially. That's just how it works. And the good news is that they still have a lot of cash, and they have very deep pockets. And so really, it doesn't necessarily matter how much they've spent as of right now, because those costs initially are going to be astronomical.
Mhm.
And they do a lot of different things compared to other PGA Tour events. Remember, they're also paying caddies, they're paying players guaranteed money, plus the money that they win at tournaments. They're paying for their travel as well. The amount of perks the players are getting just from a financial standpoint, that's going to make up a huge chunk of that billion, the $5 billion. And not to mention, it's really, they also have, I believe that they also have concerts as well. I think Dom Dalla performed at one of the events. Like, they do a lot of stuff outside of golf that's also not typical of a professional golf tour. So their balance sheet's really going to look a lot different, and all their financials will look very different from that of the PGA Tour. I'm not really concerned, just because of how much money they have. And really, at the end of the day, I know for a fact that they're in this for the long haul. And I think you could also tell by some of the signings this offseason, when the PGA Tour had finished play in early November. They didn't have any high profile guys going back, and or going to live. And if there were, they were guys that were already on live whose contracts had run out, like Bubba Watson.
Yeah.
Guys who really aren't that effective anymore. Oh geez, this printer's about to start running. But no, but at the end, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the day, though, looking at the signings that they did make, they went after golfers who are much younger compared to who they had initially signed when LIV had first become a thing. So that tells me that they're looking towards more the future, not so much the present, or even you could say the past, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So I'm reading more into this. So currently operating, the operating expenditure that's been put out is currently at $3.9 billion, $1 billion of which relates to LIV Golf's UK, and the balance to LIV Golf Inc. in the US. So obviously the US financials are far worse than what's happening abroad, which also tells you two things. It tells you that the money that's being injected isn't having enough ROI. I mean, obviously we knew they were going to operate at a loss, but the ROI that they're getting in the States is far lesser than they're getting everywhere else in the world. While it's predominantly held in the UK, there is also holdings in Australia, which every single year now, I believe, the Adelaide event is brought in about 16.6 million USD, which for reference is like a good number. It's not anything significant. I think the PGA Tour equivalent of that is one of those middle tier events, not like a John Deere, but maybe kind of like a John Deere, or like a 3M, where it's a middle of the road event. It's not a highly sought after event, but it's been a staple. So it's still being able to pile up a decent amount of money. The issue, though, while I agree with you that the partnership is a much more important piece here, I do think the money is it's an interesting question mark to go about, because like I said last week with Spotify, while yes, they're not particularly profitable, they're still able to meet a margin where the operating costs don't become too significant of a washout. Granted, the PIF also runs a budget that's way larger than anybody else in the world, and we understand that it's upwards of the trillions. But a $5 billion loss in a 3 to 4 year span is still a significant dump off, and they're only going to have to exert more and more. I believe the number that I've been seeing here, LIV's legal expenses have more than doubled from 2022 to 2023 when they reached $15.7 million. We don't have the numbers for 24 and 25, but the understanding is that the money is mounting higher and higher and higher as we go. On top of that, this is the number that I needed according to Sports Pro. Perfect. The revenue totals in the US came to $371 million compared to only $4.9 million from 2022. So obviously they're growing more in the US. Their hosting fees make up 37% of their revenues, higher than any other category of income and higher than even the PGA Tour's level of revenues. Their non-US broadcasting rights income comes to $3 million USD, equating to about 8% of their total revenue. And yes, their legal expenses are basically doubling year in and year out. The total capital approved by PIF for the whole of LIV Golf is currently settled at 3.9. Expectations to get to 5. The $5 million, though, over the year, so about 1.1 billion remaining. A lot of that money is going to go towards the remaining hosting costs, the purses of the players. We're not even talking about all of the other expenses that go into each player, because a lot of that kind of gets covered by the golf course, who's able to handle a lot of things and take on just to be able to be a part of the league. There's not really a contract expenditure that I think is that's taking place here. I don't think you can quantify that kind of money into this. I think a lot of this money, which we need to dig deeper into if we can find it, comes a lot to the fact that they're trying to splurge money on courses and broadcasting rights and people to put on the product rather than just have a good on-course product and a weaker production value, right? Does that make sense?
Mm.
So I think that's kind of that's sort of the issue that I'm seeing here as they keep on gouging and digging money into this. The league's never going to be profitable. It literally can never be. It almost seems like at $5 billion in 4 years, it's kind of like the U.S. Deficit. Like we're in the trillions and trillions. That's been building for over 200 years. Like this thing will never go away and they'll never be profitable. But at the very least, the PIF knows that they have enough money to be able to just dump this through 2031 at the very earliest. We don't know any other places, but Adelaide's also their most wealthy revenue seeker in terms of money. So what I'm seeing is you might be seeing less American spots because clearly the money isn't necessarily equating, but you're getting a lot more viewership in the places like Australia and England. And when you go to Riyadh and Saudi Arabia is actually one of the biggest markets for golf. If you look at like what the DP World Tour does in Dubai year in and year out, and this is across 5 or 6 different events. They have the HSBC there. They have the race to Dubai. They have an event in Abu Dhabi. They have them at the Jumeirah. They have probably 4 or 5 events bring in millions of dollars, like a immense amount. And we're not even talking like ticket sales because there really aren't a ton of ticket sales. Just the general hype around these events and the fact that they've got big time sponsors. Once they get more sponsors getting involved with these events, you got to realize that they don't have any as of right now. They might very well grow bigger and better. But at least for now, their number one moneymaker is going to be on tap until 2031, which is a encouraging sign. But I am concerned about what the future holds in terms of their ability to keep this going until they start to realize maybe it's not the best idea that we keep on splurging upwards of $1.2 to $1.5 billion a year on this. Because next thing you know, again, by the end of this partnership, 2031, they'll be probably in the 10 billion range, which is like an insane number to quantify in my head.
Yeah, that is a lot. That is a lot. Remember, they did offer Rory $1 billion. So.
They offered Tiger $1 billion. Like what? Like
no, I think Tiger was 700 million.
Really?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
I believe. I think it was Tiger $1 billion, Rory 750. I think
no, because I told you that it was $1 billion. I remember.
Why would they offer Rory more?
Because
they probably offered more to Rory after Tiger said no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they offered Rory after, and so my understanding is they offered Rory after because Tiger was initially. I'm sure they offered Rory initially, but it came out, and I was told by somebody. Because we broke that story that Rory was offered $1 billion, and when the LIV had first come out, it was more so Tiger was offered I think 700 to 800 million. So and Rory would get more just because Tiger doesn't really play anymore. Tiger, that's the thing. Like Tiger would just he'd be just showing up really. And so whereas Rory, like his
but at the time he did like come off like winning the US Open, right?
Who?
Oh.
Tiger?
No.
2019, right?
That was the Masters, but that was Masters,
yeah.
That was years prior though.
Yeah. Well, I think at this point too, right? Tiger got offered. This was probably like right after now. Wasn't after when he made the cut at the Masters. It was probably after he missed the cut at the Open that he got offered that, probably late 22, early 23. But like even then, like, and you can refer to even like this past week, right? Like Tiger Woods he's played in 5 events in the last 4 years, and 2 of them have been the PNC, and 1 of them was the Hero. Like the number is not. It's a the fact that they even offered Tiger that much money really just shows they wanted the eyes because it's Tiger Woods. But if you can get Rory McIlroy for $1 billion, like it's like quantifying the Juan Soto contract, right? Is the money that you're offering this person actually worth the value that they bring to you? I could argue very well the $700 million that Juan Soto is getting is not worth the amount of money that Shohei Ohtani's making for the Dodgers, or what $1 billion would Rory McIlroy, the biggest European star in the world, would bring to a tour like LIV. Like, I don't even think like John Rahm fits in that category of, hey, we have this guy who's joining LIV Golf. I think Rory is way higher, just like from a name brand perspective. I can ask my wife sitting right here across from me, like, who she knows more, Rory McIlroy or John Rahm, and I guarantee you she'll tell me Rory. Hell, she might tell me, oh God, she'll probably tell me Phil Mickelson before she tells me John Rahm. And this is just somebody who knows the very general aspects of golf. Not to say John Rahm isn't marketable, but the idea that you can get somebody at that kind of value, $1 billion, you could probably bring in almost $1 billion a year with Rory McIlroy alone. So I think that's kind of also the factor there. Oh, it also shows like how exorbitant the money that like Bryson DeChambeau got. Granted, he has a great YouTube channel and everything, but prior to joining LIV Golf, like, he was a great golfer and he was known for this big brawny guy who just hit nukes. But outside of that, there wasn't much else on his resume pre-US Open. So I think it's rather interesting. Speaking of expectations and the growth aspect of where the sport is going, an ESPN report today, reported by Josh Carpenter of the Sports Business Journal, appeared to say that ESPN is absolutely floored by the overachievement of the TGL. Actually, as we record today on a Monday, huge TGL slate, 4 matches. I caught some on the TV before we managed to get in the show here. A 4-match show. We'll get the ratings numbers for you next week on that, but shows ranging from, I believe, 11 a.m. all the way up to a 9 p.m. showing. All 8 teams getting involved this week. Probably going to shoot huge numbers. But according to ESPN, they were actually only expecting to get roughly 500,000 viewers per event per week for TGL. They're currently sitting at about 812 average viewers through 6 weeks, I believe. And a lot of that is fueled by their first 2 weeks of 700, over 770, and then over 1 million with Tiger's opening event. The number honestly will probably go down after this week because people aren't going to watch all 4 events. They'll probably watch certain ones here and there. So the number will like fluctuate. So don't be surprised if you see a 4 on the board next week for maybe the early window, or the early afternoon. You get like 5, like it's 7 in the late window because Tiger's playing. So we'll have to see. But really interesting to see that ESPN is overjoyed by the expectations that were set and have been overshot. ESPN also saying that they believe that TGL might be the future of golf, and TGL might take away viewership from the PGA Tour. Ben, what do you think of that?
I don't think that that's going to happen. No, I think that it's obviously great for golf that not only they've had this amount of success, but they're actually they're surpassing the expectations that were set forth, just from a production standpoint, a viewership standpoint. So that's absolutely fantastic. I don't see how this could actually take away from the PGA Tour, mainly because these events, they don't conflict with the tour anyway. They're during, practice round days, so, and guys generally, guys can make the decision really if they want to play on TGL or not, because the real money at the end of the day, excluding LIV, the real money is on the PGA Tour. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I really don't think that this is going to take away viewership. Just the scheduling doesn't line up. And the amount of money, guys are going to want to play on the PGA Tour more than the TGL. The TGL is fun. I think it's a great way for them to show their brands and personalities. And it's also a good way for them to make a little extra cash too. But at the end of the day, the players are running the show. And that's why the PGA Tour, it will be above the TGL.
I think ESPN makes a really interesting debate topic for us. And this is something that I was talking to a coworker about. So the first week, I was telling you guys after week 1, my 3 coworkers, one of them's a casual golfer, like plays 9 and will drink 9 beers along with it. The other 2 don't really golf as much, but they're interested in getting into it. And they were there glued to the TV, like I said a few weeks ago, and they were like, "Wow, like it's really cool to see action and personality and everything crammed into a 2-hour show." But you're also getting it in prime time. I think yes, they won't take away views on Sundays, but the interesting part about like the way the golf landscape works, right? You look at every other sport that you have, with the exception of football. But like basketball, you're playing games on Mondays, on Thursdays. Hockey's big night is Wednesday. Like soccer's big time is Tuesdays. Like everybody has their own like niche. Of course, when you have a brand like the NCAA and the NFL, where in a lot of pockets of the country, Saturday is football, Sunday is church. In other places, Sunday is just the NFL slate, and you're sitting on a couch from 1 p.m. till 10. Like, that's just how it is in some places. People aren't tuning into golf at the rate that these other sports are, probably of any sport. Maybe with the exception of soccer, it might be able to rival, but I don't think any of the core 4 main sports are they even coming close to. With that being said, people are doing things on a Sunday. The broadcast window that you'd be watching anyways is from 3 to 5. It's a quick 2-hour span. Golf's overdrawn. It's the argument that everyone's been making forever. No, you're not getting production value. I watched a little bit of Sunday at the Genesis. Dude, Ludwig Oberg, I saw like 8 shots. The guy was up by 2 strokes with 4 holes to play. I watched more of a Patrick Rogers on 17 than I did of Ludwig on 16, trying to hold the lead. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm watching more highlights and run-throughs of a Patrick Rogers birdie on 17 than I am of anything Ludwig did for the first 16 holes of Sunday's tournament. I watched more Matt McNeely. I watched more Hideki Matsuyama and Patrick Cantlay, who, yeah, cool, he was T5. He was 5 strokes back of the lead. Why am I watching Patrick Cantlay? I don't want to. I want to watch the leaders. So I feel like the viewership, and again, we beat the dead horse in the show with the production errors that the PGA Tour puts on, but they already have their own issues there. I think the TGL, what makes them interesting is the fact that they're able to lock into a primetime window and a time where you're in the off-season of the NFL, you're looking for something to do Monday at 7 p.m., Monday at 9 p.m., maybe possibly even a Tuesday. What are you going to do if you're a golf fan? You might as well watch more golf. So I think that the viewership aspect, while it won't take away views, it'll only continue to grow in views as the product gets better. Again, we're in year 1. We had a situation a week or 2 weeks ago where the simulator caught a Tommy Fleetwood divot rather than the actual ball itself. Like nightmare fuel for the TGL. But they're working on it. They're getting better. They're going to be able to create more courses. They're going to be able to create more holes, situations, and it's going to get more interesting. Plus, they're going to expand further, right? You might be able to have more teams rather than just in San Francisco, Boston, Atlanta, New York, LA, and so on. So who knows? Like you'll bring on a team out in Dallas. You'll bring out a team in like Philadelphia. You might be able to grow the markets there. I think once the fandom portion starts to grow and they start to hone in on the product, you very well could see a situation where you're getting 1 million viewers every single week. I didn't think that would be an exceptional number. Like considering what I believe Sunday last week at the Waste Management, I think had 3.3 million views. A third of that number is terrific for a startup league within its first year. And it's really it's a bad comparison because of the gap from TGL to the PGA is like this, but the gap from the NFL to the UFL is like that. But like they had like the UFL had like I think 200,000 concurrent viewers in their first week, and the NFL has 8 million, 10 million. Like the gap is huge, but again, it's the same thing as like Ben, like you and I learned it in business school, right? You send out a survey to 1,000 people. If you get a 1% hit rate, that's pretty damn good. Like if you can get 5 people out of 1,000 to answer a survey, that's a pretty good hit rate. So I think that while the gap is certainly wider to the NFL, to the UFL, the XFL, whatever it might be, if they can get almost a third of a difference from a PGA Tour event to a TGL event, and maybe even you find yourself in a situation where like the Mexico Open is this week, and the number 1 guy on the odds board, Matt McNeely, just lost to a Swedish robot. So he's like, all right, I'm taking the week off. Now, next thing you know, Patrick Rogers is the odds-on favorite, and like Taylor Moore is like the 5th guy in the field. Like, people might not watch the final round of the Mexico Open, but they might watch the Monday primetime TGL event, and you might actually get pretty similar viewership. So I think that's the interesting part here. There's a lot to be said about how the viewership will swing, but certainly can do a lot of damage if they find themselves in a situation where in a weak field you might not want to watch on a weekend, but you could certainly watch it on a Monday or Tuesday in prime time.
I completely agree.
A lot of words for a very simple answer, and I apologize for that. But I think I kind of brought home the point in 8 words. God, I need to get we got to start like timing me and see how long like I can like lecture about a topic that I get passionate about.
I guess. I don't know. I'd rather not do that.
I mean, hey, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what we can do. Half hour down, half hour to go. We are going to take a short break. On the other side, we're going to break down our shout outs of the week, including probably the craziest story I have ever heard in golf history. And we will give you a preview of the Mexico Open, who to look out for, what to expect in Vedanta, Mexico. For Bennett and Ethan, I'm Steve. We'll be right back here from the Underground.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company, our incredible merch partners. PHI Apparel Co. provides unique designs and high-quality clothing from t-shirts to hoodies for every golfer around. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out on the course, the driving range, or at the 19th hole. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND at checkout for 10% off any order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and grab exclusive Get in the Hole podcast merch and support your favorite golfers.
Welcome back in to Get in the Hole. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy, Ethan Hogan. Another great week in the world of golf. Let's get right into some of our big shout outs of the week presented by our friends over at Acorn Hills, changing clothing through conservation by offering you anything from apparel, quarter zips to hats, shirts, ball markers, and so on, all by using biodegradable clothing tags, packaging, recycled materials. And for every dollar spent, the National Forest Foundation will plant a seedling to promote afforestation across our great land. Be sure to use code GITH15 for 15% off your next order at acornhillsco.com. Again, code GITH. That's Get in the Hole 15 for 15% off your next order at acornhillsco.com. And look your best from the ground up. We lead with a big shout to the Swedish robot, LIVGolf. Everyone has been talking about not only how good at golf he is, but how handsome he is and how he's like the new like reincarnation of just like the it guy in golf. Somebody, I forgot who it was, might have been Kyle Porter, said that LIVGolf is going to be even better than Scotty Scheffler just because he's more handsome than him, which I don't think is necessarily a very wrong take. I think it's a fascinating one to talk about. But the 2025 Genesis Invitational champion shot 12 under en route to a one-stroke win over Matt McNeely in the challenging conditions at Torrey Pines South. Crazy stat, right? LIVGolf shot 9 under par, so 9 of his 12 strokes below par came on the par 3s at the event. All the while, only 2 holes for the entirety of the week played under par. This was the hardest, outside of the U.S. Open and I think 2021, the hardest conditioned Torrey Pines golf course ever. And it's crazy because 3 weeks ago was the least challenging Torrey Pines golf course ever. Wild. Absolutely nuts. It's his second career win for LIVGolf in his first 40 starts. 2 wins, 10 top 5s, 24 top 25s. And according to Data Golf, it is the 7th best first 40 starts in the history of golf, only behind Rory, John Rahm, Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler, and Sergio Garcia. Crazy.
That's wild. Oh my gosh.
Guys got it.
He's him.
He's him. He really is. And I feel so bad for Matt McNeely. Like I need to give this man his flowers. He's so fucking talented, and he just lost to you can't even get upset about it.
No.
Like you simply lost to the best player in the field that week, and it's like no matter how hard you tried. But shout out to Matt McNeely too, because he really deserves a ton. That guy's an absolute beast to only have one career win in over 100 starts.
No, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. Shout out to Joaquin Neiman, who claimed his third career LIV victory in Adelaide. With the win, Neiman has locked in over $43 million in winnings and has easily become one of the few LIV players to benefit most from the move. He has 5 wins in 15 months and 15 top 5 finishes in that span. He's basically the second best player on LIV.
Absolutely.
Behind Rahm. Like, he's easily the second best player. And I'm assuming he'll be invited to Augusta again. So, that's wild. Could you imagine making $43 million in that short time?
I have a crazy take. I think, like skill-wise and what he's been able to accomplish from his PGA Tour career, you could very well argue that Joaquin Neiman is better than Jon Rahm. Like the level of success that Joaquin has had over 15 months, even from leaving the PGA Tour, what he's won. He won the Genesis. He won another event. I'm drawing a blank on what it was. It might have been the Byron Nelson. He now has 3 wins here. I think he has 7 professional wins in his career. He's one of 2 guys on LIV, the other one being Bryson DeChambeau, who has, like, reputation-wise, not taken a hit. Like, Bryson went from, like, hated guy on LIV to his social media presence has gotten him, like, through the roof and, like, become basically America's sweetheart in golf. But like Joaquin Neiman, the second he moved to LIV Golf, I don't think anybody like actually hated on him. It's funny because he did it at the same time that Mito Pereira did, and they were obviously teammates for the Chileans in the Olympics. And everyone's like, "Oh, like Mito moved to LIV Golf, like screw him." No one said a word about Joaquin Neiman, even though he was the far better player too. I think also kind of came to the fact that Mito moved shortly after the PGA Championship meltdown with JT. But like Joaquin Neiman has been head and shoulders above a lot of guys, and the reason why he's the one guy who's getting invited to all of these events, got invited to the PGA, probably going to get invited to the Masters again, is easily the best South American player in golf actively. I don't think there's anybody who's ahead of him. So that right there just shows me that he's been so dominant, on LIV, but also has been one of the biggest beneficiaries of everything that's come his way over the last 15 months.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Where did he go to school, Joaquin Neiman? Ethan, can you look that up?
I want to say Oklahoma State, but also like for some reason, every golfer in the world goes out of Stanford, OK State, or like Pepperdine to me. Texas,
North Texas.
Did he run North Texas?
Joaquin what?
Neiman. Joaquin Neiman. I feel like OK State. I don't know why that's popping in my head.
No, I don't think so.
Or I'm thinking of Victor Hovland. It's another international.
He went to Oklahoma State. Yes,
Oh.
and with the other guy, the guy that went to LIV, Matt Wolf.
Oh God, what a fall off there too. But that was also mental health related.
He went to where was it there? South Florida.
Did he
Really?
I didn't
USF.
University, yeah. UCF.
That's surprising.
Wow.
That's like that's not a big golf school either.
No, they're very good. They're very good. I can promise you that. They are.
Really?
Yes. They are.
Oh, so apparently he only played at USF for 1 year. He said in a this is actually on his LIV Golf profile. He failed his English test to attend the school, but he recalled, quote, "I knew I was going to be there for only 1 year. The school asked me to take the English test. I really didn't study for it. Fucking beast."
I feel bad for laughing.
No, but like, you know what? Hey, I mean, when you know you're going pro. Look,
Here's the thing that I don't understand. Normally, a lot of times what happens is when you have kids from other countries and when English is not their first language, they end up going the JUCO route.
Yeah.
Because then they end up taking those English kind of like, I'm going to butcher this, but like the English level kind of placement classes. That because like I know so Krista Tino, remember when we had Alex Giles on?
Yeah.
So Krista was her boss. And so she would like I remember there was one girl, I think she was from Japan, and she ended up like and she was good enough to play at any school that she wanted. But the thing was like I'm not gonna say problem, she didn't speak English. And so she had to take those kind of English placement classes. So that's why she had to go the JUCO route. And then she ended up playing for Oregon, I believe. Yeah, Oregon. So like the chick is like she's so good. Like she beat the pants off of me. But no, like I'm a little bit surprised though that USF wasn't just like, hey, like go to this JUCO, because I'm sure they could say like, hey, go to this JUCO, take your English placement classes, and then we'll take you after 2 years, you know. But at the end of the day, also it's like you'd be risking losing him for to another school at that point, because it's a different season at that point, right? So because of the JUCO, you know, the way that stuff works and everything, we don't have to get into it. But
also he also said he knew he was only going to go to school for a year, so it wasn't going to make a huge difference whether or not anything happened. So he managed to do well. Our happy birthday shout outs, every single week that we've been doing this, we've had some sort of a notable like birthday, and the only like truly notable birthday of the week is going to fall on Sunday this week. Steve Stricker will be celebrating his birthday, but we always give a shout out to someone whose birthday's today, right? As we record February 17th, President's Day. I discovered a Mr. Mike Austin. Now, Ben, in your life, have you ever heard of Mike Austin?
Yes, I have. I've heard this. Yes.
Why do you know Mike Austin?
I was just about to have you tell the story.
No. Like I will, but like in a. Let me rephrase. Mike Austin, when in learning about golf, have you ever had a teacher tell you about Mike Austin?
Okay, no, not like I know the story behind the person, not not what are you saying, like a method? There's like a swing method?
Like a training method.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I don't know that. No.
All right. So the story behind it, as I will recount. Granted, all of this comes from a couple of articles from not so verified sources, but like local journals, as well as Wikipedia that has managed to piece everything together. Born in 1910, French native Mike Austin established himself as golf's bandit during the Great Depression. He owned a golf shop in Atlanta, Georgia, and he would go down to Florida and other southern regions of the country and would hustle gangsters who were wealthy enough to play golf at the time during the Depression. And he would do things like play one-handed, putt blindfolded, or play with left-handed golf clubs. He also won $5,000 off a big-time gangster, allegedly named Al Capone, for making a par hitting a golf ball with nothing but a Coke bottle. This sounds ridiculous.
So stupid. Oh my God.
He also holds the Guinness Book of World Records record for the longest recorded golf shot in tournament play at what's now called Desert Roads Golf Club in Las Vegas during the U.S. National Seniors Tournament. He hit a drive 515 yards. This was in 1972.
Damn.
His name is also now synonymous, and this is where my question to you kind of comes in. Apparently, in training circles, they refer to it as the Mike Austin swing. It's taught by pros through the art of supple quickness, where speed is generated by a realization of all of your active muscles rather than a generation of power through like force and other methods. I don't know if any of this is accurate, but every place that I've read, it's given me, I've had like 4 or 5 results while I was doing research today, and all of them say the exact same thing. He passed away in 2005. This would have been his 115th birthday. So happy birthday to Mike Austin, who might have one of the most legendary stories I've ever heard, ever.
I can't believe you put down he would be 115 today.
May he rest in peace. What else do you want me to say? He's the only relevant person to have a birthday today. Now, you were laughing your ass off earlier. Is it because of the story? Like how did you first hear about this?
It's just as a golfer, you just hear this. You just hear kind of stories like this, and this just happens to be one of them that I had. It's just because the thing is, it's like, so let's just do a little simple math here. Okay. So how old did you say? What year was it that he hit the drive 515 yards?
Let me double check this. It was either 1972 or 1976.
Okay. Because
And like for reference, I've already done the research. The average driving distance was like 260 yards on tour.
so regardless, okay. So let's just think about this logically. He would have been
74 he did it.
okay. Cool. So he would have been 64 years old. And hitting it 5. I mean, maybe if he had hit one, if the highway was dead straight, he's just bouncing it down the highway. Maybe that's how he could do it. That's just, I mean, he's just, this is wild to me. I mean, it's freaking crazy.
According to the story, it was one drive in 1974 that secured his name in history while playing in the U.S. National Senior Tournament at the Winterwood Golf Course, now the Desert Rose. Austin played alongside PGA champion Chandler Harper. After hitting several 400-yard drives, Harper said, "Mike, let's see you really let one go." Austin drove the green on the 450-yard par 4. It carried to the edge of the green, bounced over, and rolled past the pin and off the back edge. In a 2003 interview, Harper said he found a ball on the next tee box and called to Austin, "This is impossible, but there's a ball over here." They identified the ball as Austin's and stepped off the distance back to the center of the green. It was a 515-yard drive. The Guinness Book of the World Records no longer recognizes the world's longest drive in their book. However, they did for about 5 years. Wild. Well, also, if you want to provide more info on this, because I think it'd be a fun talking point, the Mike Austin swing breaks from the standard PGA teaching in a number of ways. By one, the hips slide laterally rather than turning. The club head is thrown from the top of the swing, not released at the last moment, and the golfer bends forward from the hip rather than bending with the knees. If you can visualize that in your head.
I mean, yeah, a lot of that's like typical golf stuff. I mean, the release thing, that's a little different. I have more of an old fashioned release where you have a lot of lag. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you always slide laterally. Like it's a combination of a lateral movement and a rotary movement. That's just how it is.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. Apparently a lot of his teachings and his students are actually very heavily involved in World Lawn Drive, including Mike Dunaway and Jacob Bowden. Golf instructors who have taught Austin swing include Dunaway, Walter Smiley Jones, Dan Schauger, I'm probably butchering half these names, former LPGA Tour winner Betsy Cullen, Heiko Falk, John Marshall, Steve Pratt, and Deb Vangelo. So there are people who are teaching it, apparently.
No, I'm sure it's a great method. And I just don't know enough about it.
Fascinating stuff from Mr. Mike Austin, the golf bandit of the Great Depression.
Yes.
The funniest shit. Happy 150th birthday to Mike. Let's get into the Mexico Open preview for the week. I cannot believe that this was. I literally found myself down the rabbit hole talking about this to one of my friends, boyfriends, who has no interest in golf. He was watching the NASCAR race, and I was like, "You ever hear this guy, Mike Austin?" And I was telling the story, and he's like, "This sounds like absolute horse shit." Anyhow, Mexico Open preview this week. A quite soft field, however. This has been one of those events in the past that have had multiple big-time winners. Tony Finau is one here. John Rahm's one here. Actually, back in the day when it was a PGA Latin America's Tour event, Austin Smotherman got a big win here, and that really propelled him to eventually make the PGA Tour. Again, like I said, a soft field this week, where as of right now, number one on the odds board to win, Akshay Bhatia, followed by Rasmus Højgaard, Kurt Kitayama, Sam Stevens, Patrick Rogers, and Taylor Moore, with Michael Kim and Steven Yeager riding out the back. Lots of opportunity to make a big jump here as we play at a resort-style golf course down in Vedanta. You're over on the coast. Lots of wind expected, but a pretty high score to be had. Matt McNeely, who was the odds-on favorite, he is out of the tournament this week. He lost to Ludwig and said, I'm going to take it easy this week and commiserate in my loss. With that, Phil Knowles is in, and on a sponsor exemption, Fred Biondi is in the field as well. Because this event has been on tour for, I believe, 3 years now, if I'm not wrong. And like I said, the event has had a variety of winners. From the first time it found itself on the PGA Tour, John Rahm won at 17 under. Tony Finau shot 24 under and won after finishing runner-up to John Rahm the year prior. And then Jake Knapp, this was the event that he earned his first career victory. He won at 19 under par. So some big-time names have won. When Finau and Rahm both won, they were the odds-on favorite at the event, oddly enough. Jake Knapp was a wide favorite. Are there any interesting names before we get into our beer money picks that you find that certainly like names you probably would not expect that could have a very strong week, similar to like what we saw with Jake Knapp, and who might have a similar abilities to what Jake Knapp was able to do at Vedanta? Very, very long, powerful hitter.
Let me see. I think so. Actually, I was thinking about this earlier, and I know we don't normally shout out other websites, but I feel like it's very much necessary here. So CBS Golf, they did an article actually on this. I guess really in honor of Jake Knapp because he was such a long shot win. They actually came up with 3 guys. One of them being Steven Yeager at 30-1. The next one being Bo Hostler at 33-1. And then who, by the way, like Bo Hostler's been on tour for like a while. I'm a little bit shocked. I'm not sure how his year has gone thus far, but I'm a little bit surprised that they consider him like such a long shot. And then Aaron Rai, another guy who has had success on the PGA Tour, but those are 3 guys that they ended up highlighting on CBS Golf. It's a very, very good article. It's written by the CBS Sports staff, so it's about a 5-minute read. Feel free to look at it. It's actually very good. So, but yeah, those are 3 guys I think would be very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's again, it's a wide open field. There's a lot of really big names that for us are big, that others are looking at this field and they're like, I want to puke. But like Michael Kim, guy had a tremendous week 2 weeks ago at the Waste Management. Harry Hall has been on an absolute bender the last few weeks. The one time I bet him, I believe it was at Torrey Pines. He didn't play his best, but entering the year, he had, I believe, 3 top 10s. Jake Knapp is at 40-1. I mean, look, the guy won here in his debut at this event. Nikolai Højgaard, and this is actually kind of is interesting. I don't know what the factor is here, but Rasmus Højgaard is obviously a much different player than his brother Nikolai. Nikolai, of course, has been in contention at the Masters, was on a Ryder Cup team. Rasmus getting the much better rating according to the sports books. I don't know if that's that's a mistake on their end, but interesting that both of them kind of jumped into different ends. A guy who has a lot of experience and has won at events similar to this down in the Central Americas. I believe he won at Bermuda a couple of years ago. Eric Van Rooyen is off at 55-1. That's a really deep number. If you want a young guy to look at, I love Aldrich Potgeier. He's 60-1. The South African made a big name for himself. Made final stage of Q School. Did not earn his tour card, but did finish, I think, like 7th overall. And if we're looking kind of like middle of the board, don't sleep on like a guy like Mac Meissner or Patrick Fishburne, 2 guys who have played these kind of events, fall events, events like this. Again, I feel like Bermuda is a really good example because it's one of those like coastal courses. When they used to play at Mayakoba, it was a little bit more like condensed and like inland, so you weren't getting as much like rapid wind. But where they're playing, they're going to be right there on the water, so there's going to be a lot of coastal golf, lots of heavy winds, lots of water finding itself onto the course when you're hitting the bluffs, or also just getting the rain in. So balls will be sitting up almost the whole entire week. It is a resort style course. It's a little bit tight, but a lot of these guys, if they can hit it far, they could certainly do some damage. And we've seen scores 17, 19, 23 under par in the past to win this event. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of guys going super low to get there. With that being said, let's get right into the Beer Money Picks brought to you by Kenwood Beer. I went on a cabin trip this weekend to upstate New York, and the one thing that I wish I had on me was my Kenwood Beer. I was locked into the cabin for 3 days. It snowed about 10, 11 inches, but I wasn't able to get my hands on some Kenny's because it wasn't available in New York, and I was very upset. But you cannot make the same mistake that I made. You can go online, find the Kenny tracker on kenwoodbeer.com, and find out where you can get your hands on some ice cold Kenwood beer from your favorite liquor stores in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and Delaware areas. Even for you Philly fans, you can get it at the Wells Fargo Center watching the Wings, watching the Sixers, watching the Flyers, and beyond. Must be 21 years or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And for those of you betting, be sure to bet responsibly as well. We begin a top 20 selection for the Mexico Open this week. Ben, lead it off.
Oh boy, this field is wide open this week, so I don't really know how I feel about any of these. We are tied, actually, just so you're aware. I'm going to go with Charlie Hoffman for a top 20 finish. I feel like that's a safe-ish bet, maybe, hopefully, yeah.
Maybe, hopefully, we'll see. Plus 230, you can get Hoff on the sports books. I'm going to go with Eric Van Rooyen, who I just mentioned, literally right next to Hoffman at plus 225. Two very similar players. Both have won in conditions similar to this in the past. Charlie Hoffman loves to play in the Deep South and in the Caribbean, as does Eric Van Rooyen. It kind of seems to be a thing when they go down to Florida, when they go out to Texas, or they play down in the Caribbean. They always manage to thrive. Top 10 for you.
Top 10, I'm going to go with the guy who's our defending champ, Jake Knapp, for a top 10. He's got good vibes here. I think the course fits him well. He has definitely slowed down since that win, so I think this is a good opportunity for him to really get back on track.
Let's see here. What am I feeling for a top 10 this week? Where are you? I have my posts that I got to follow along with. Top 10 for my throat's like going. I'm going to go with Michael Thorbjornsen. He's plus 400 in the field. I bet him in the past at similar tracks. Really young guy, second guy post Ludwig Oberg to make PGA Tour through PGAU. Former Stanford guy, hits the ball at Country Mile, and this is going to be a course where if you can hone in the putter, should be able to put up some really good results. He showed some really good prowess in the fall as well as on KFT last year, so I think good things are to come for a player like Michael Thorbjornsen. Top 5, who you got?
Okay, I'm going to go with Patrick Rogers. I'm a little bit surprised he's as low as he is on the odds board, but long hitter. He's also actually a Stanford grad. I don't know if you knew that, but he had a very, very promising start to his career, and he just kind of has – he's kind of just like leveled out, really, if that makes sense. But he's still easily one of the best players in the field this week in a relatively weaker field by PGA Tour standards. So that's why I like him for a top 5.
I love it. I love it. You mentioned him earlier, and I'm going to ride the coattails on this. I'm going to go with Beau Hossler for a top 5. Again, like you said, he's played for a while, and a lot of hype coming out of college. Didn't seem to get his footing immediately off the bat, but one of his best features is his putter. So just find the green, putt away, and let the putter do the damage. I'm thinking Beau Hossler is going to be able to do that for us all. He sits at plus 550 on the board. Your gimme pick this week.
Gosh, this is a hard one for me. This is so bad. I don't even know who a lot of these guys are that I think would have value. Because I don't want to be like that guy and just pick like a super easy one with no value. You know what? Okay, I'm going to go with Jesper Svensson for a top 30 finish.
Jeez, interesting. That's a very, very interesting pick. I'm going to go top 30 finish as well. I'm going to go with Max McGreevy for a top 30. Believe it or not, and people don't follow enough Corn Ferry Tour stuff, but he absolutely lit up the KFT last year. He's a veteran golfer. He's been in this situation before. He had a couple of wins. He won the Dunlap Phoenix back in November, and like it finally looked like things were starting to click for him. He has not had a great 2025 to start out. However, in an event where you can afford to miss left or right, so long as you're in the fairway, which is wide open, make the green. His long game is the hardest part. It's a short game that's been really, really impressive. So if he can manage the long game, he should be able to play quite well. Will be pretty easy in setting up shots around the greens this week. They're playing on past pylon grass, so should be a good situation for Max McGreevy for a top 30. Your winning play at the Mexico Open
at plus 2,200. I'm going to go with Sam Stevens for the win. Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. My winning pick also at 22-1. Actually, do I do this? Ooh, do I do this? Do I do it? You know what? I'm gonna revert. I was going to take Patrick Rodgers. I have decided to go against my gut. I'm going to take the guy who finished runner-up 2 years ago to Tony Finau in this event. I'm going to go Kurt Kitayama, who sits at 20-1 this week. I do like Rodgers a lot, but Kitayama has the better course history, and therefore I will defer to Kurt's ability to hopefully push me over the finish line as the winner this week. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I almost said Ludwig on the show last week. I instead took Justin Rose. What an idiot I am.
Yeah.
Like I'm a fucking dumbass. Hopefully this week, my revert will either mean that Rodgers wins or I manage to get lucky. We'll see what happens. Who knows?
Well,
pray for the best.
That was a very good show. Nice and quick, nice and easy. Yeah.
There's nothing Ben likes more than a fast show.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can make another joke, but I'll save that for the
just
post
make
show.
it. Just make it.
No, I can't do it.
Why not? Why
I
not?
can't do it.
Why not?
There's only one thing that Ben likes more than a faster show, and it's fast women. That's going to be it for episode 192 of the Get in the Hole podcast. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe on all social media at Get in the Hole Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and beyond. And of course, on our
Mind
podcast
you, that is
pages,
not true.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to leave a 5-star rating and comment on our weekly poll. And of course, shout out to our sponsors. You can find all of their codes in our description links in our show. And of course, Underground Sports PHI on YouTube. Be sure to keep on subscribing, getting us clicks, and checking out all Underground Sports content from F1 to lacrosse to soccer, and of course, right here with the golf content. For Ethan Hogan, that's Ben Pirro, who does not like fast women. I'm Steve McAvoy. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!